Most animals that are killed in the field will be dispatched with a cleanly placed shot from a hunting rifle or bow. In commercial operations, a deadbolt is used to render the animal unconscious. There is no bullet or projectile. The animal is dispatched with a deadbolt such as the one shown here. The deadbolt uses a blank cartridge to fire a bolt into the brain of the animal. You will need a knife that has a sharp, flexible blade for cutting off the head and legs. A second knife is for gutting and skinning. This blue-handled knife is a special knife that has a blunt point and has a cutting edge on the inside curve, which allows opening up the skin without puncturing the gut. A bone saw has a special system of teeth that are designed for cutting bone for opening up the chest, and will also be used later to cut up the meat. This is a gambrel, a brace that fits through the hind legs of the animal for hanging. This spreads the legs apart so the carcass can cool quickly for easier cutting of the meat. An apron is used for good hygiene, but also for protecting yourself from sharp knives. It is very important to use a sharp knife. Sharpen knives before you start the process with a sharpening tool or sharpening stone. During your work, use 6 to 8 strokes with a sharpening steel to keep the knife sharp longer. In hunting and commercial slaughter, how the animal is handled before the slaughter makes a difference in the quality of the meat. As you can see, the staff and faculty from the reindeer research program are gently herding the animal into the chute. The animal should not run or be overly stressed. This is important to preserve the quality of the meat. Stressing the animal will cause a higher pH in the meat, which lowers the quality of it. It is up to the hunter to make sure that he does not stress the animal before he takes a shot. This will greatly influence the quality of the meat. Notice the calm manner in which the animal enters the chute. Keeping the animal's stress level low creates a better end product. Heikke is loading a blank into the deadbolt to slaughter the animal. The animal is killed by firing the bolt into the brain. In the field, hunters need to plan their shot and only shoot an animal that is standing still. Once the animal runs and is under stress, it will decrease the quality of the meat. The movements that you see are reflexive. The animal is already dead. However, the heart is still pumping. It's important to bleed out the animal as soon as possible to get rid of excess blood, which makes the meat unappealing and causes it to spoil more quickly. When bleeding the animal, don't slit the throat. You could cut the esophagus, causing the contents to spill, which contaminates the carcass. Instead, insert the knife just behind the jaw and below the spine to sever the carotid artery. Start by removing the fur at the front of the neck so that you can see the area you need to work. Next, use your skinning knife to open up the skin on the throat and lower jaw, exposing the trachea and esophagus. Insert the knife along the jaw to remove the tongue. Pull up the trachea. It looks like a vacuum hose. On the back side of the trachea is the esophagus. Separate the esophagus from the trachea. Cut the esophagus right below the tongue. Scrape the smooth muscle tissue from the esophagus with your thumbnail and tie it in a knot or tie it with a string. This eliminates the possibility of the rumen contents leaking and contaminating the carcass. Remove the trachea and tongue. Set the tongue aside for further processing, as it is a high-quality piece of meat. Tilt the head back as far as possible and look for the joint where the spine attaches to the head. Cut along this juncture while tilting the head back. The arrow shows this point. Use a knife to cut the cartilage between the bones, but not the bone. Using a bone saw at this point will scatter bone chips throughout the meat and lower the quality. Remove the head from the neck. During processing, it's important to put the carcass on its back. Use ropes if necessary to keep the carcass upright or prop it against rocks or trees. Use your skinning knife, the one that's sharpened on the curved side, to cut from the throat to the anus. This knife allows you to cut through the hide without puncturing the guts or meat. Now remove the penis where it enters the pelvis. Some hunters salvage the lower part of the legs for sewing and crafts. To do this, begin at the hoof with the skinning knife and cut up the leg to the point where it intersects with the midline cut. With a reindeer or caribou, the skin is loosely attached, and it's recommended that the hide be pulled off rather than using a skinning knife. Start in the center of the animal, pulling the hide away from the carcass when you get to the leg. Pull the hide away from the leg all the way down to the hoof.
Here you must be very careful.
Two inches below the knee is a joint that isn't readily visible. Run your knife around the leg bone, cutting the cartilage through. You'll cut the lower leg off at this lower joint. Don't cut into the muscle higher up on the leg. Muscle tissue shortens during rigor, causing tougher meat. Continue to pull the hide away from the carcass. Use your skinning knife to cut the center point of the lower leg. Cut open the hide on the lower leg on the back side. The hide can be easily pulled away. Try to skin the animal just as soon as possible, since the hide comes off easier.
Much easier with this small and the thick ones.
When pulling off the hide, roll up the leading edge. This makes a good handle to hold onto as you're skinning the animal. This does involve a great deal of physical labor. At some point, you may need to resort to using a knife to remove the hide from the carcass.
Yeah, that's good.
Maintain the hock for hanging. Don't cut into the hock area or any muscle in the leg area, or it will be harder to hang. Cutting the hock allows the muscles to contract, resulting in a tougher meat in the leg area, especially toughening the inside loin. Cut the cartridge 2 inches below the knee, just as we did on the front legs. It is the same spot for all game animals. Apply side pressure to pop the joint and cut through the cartilage. Remember to save the hock in order to hang the animal. Our cutter continues skinning the upper front. The best practice is to cut away from your body. This cutter is a professional and has a great deal of skill with the knife. Again, he finds the lower joint and cuts it, leaving the hoof and bone with the hide. Insert the knife into the sternum, opening up the body cavity. Make sure you keep the knife at a shallow angle to avoid cutting the gut. As you can see, he's using the knife with a blunt end and the inside curve sharp.
First, I have to take this. What is this?
Esophagus.
Yeah, I have to find it. Somewhere.
Pull out the rumen and find the juncture where the esophagus comes through the diaphragm into the rumen. There are ligaments attached to the esophagus that you need to break with your hands. It's too hard to get a knife in these locations, as you can see, so your hands are the most efficient tool. Free the esophagus from the body by breaking the attaching ligaments all the way up to the neck. Pull the esophagus through the opening in the diaphragm. Maintain the integrity of the diaphragm to act as a dam to keep blood from the carcass from flooding the lower body. Blood in the chest cavity may contaminate the meat with blood. This is particularly important because this is the area of the tenderloin, a prime cut of meat. Breaking the ligaments is sometimes difficult, so work carefully until it is free. Pull out the esophagus and release the rumen from the body cavity. Keeping the guts and the rumen intact is important to prevent contamination of the meat.
Onto that passageway, and he reached in and he broke those ligaments, and it breaks the esophagus free, so he can pull through. He can pull the esophagus through the diaphragm. Do you want me to push from the other side?
Lots of fat, it's very tight.
Yeah. Leaf fat that we were talking about, yep. I just never heard it called leaf fat. Internal organ.
That's what we're trying.
Using the bone saw, cut through the brisket, but don't cut the diaphragm. Cut slits in the hock to insert the gambrel. Hang the carcass. This allows all the blood to drain out, protecting the meat. This animal has a great deal of fat. Allow the carcass to hang and pull the remainder of the hide from the carcass. You must cut through the base of the tail to free the hide. Tyson, am I in your frame? Use a knife to cut away excess fat from the animal, continuing to roll and pull the hide from the carcass. This preserves the hide for later use and minimizes the fat and muscle on the hide. The butcher is opening the lower carcass for removing internal fat. Completely cut around the anus from the outside. From the inside, reach in and pull out the anus. Remove the kidney fat and kidneys.
Cut away first. Are you using this? No. There is somewhere there is kidney. As you see here. Lots of fat. You need this.
Cut out the diaphragm and then pull out the heart and lungs. Be careful to put it in a container for later use. Cut open the neck to allow any blood to drain out of the body cavity. Remove the heart from the pericardial sac. Slice open the heart to drain out all blood.
Important that you do like this. Every blood is going away. The liver, but
Here is the liver. It is best cooked and eaten fresh. In northern animals, it contains a high concentration of vitamin A. In fact, it is so high that it needs to be consumed in moderation.
mouse liver, it's no matter. Very strong taste. And the heart,
The heart is very good, sliced and eaten as steaks.
and the heart must be clean. You have to clean it up very fast. There are lots of blood inside after killing, and if you don't open, you lose it.
Here is the tongue, and there are many recipes for this dish. The final step in hanging is to clean the carcass of all dirt and material that might contaminate the meat. If this is not removed, you can introduce contaminants during the butchering process. Each cut could take dirt from the outside and move it to the inside meat. Once the animal is clean, it should be wrapped in cheesecloth to keep it clean.